Simchie, how are you?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, Shalom. We're live, so don't say anything that you don't want published. To make sure that we're up on YouTube. We look like we are. Yeah, take a package. We're live, so don't say anything that you don't want published. But I have to wrestle down Yaakov and get him to edit, you know. It's happened before, don't worry.
You whisper?
You gotta really whisper. It's so sensitive. I listen to something like that. Pick that up. How you doing? How's everybody?
That's it. You have a lot of back there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot you can do here. Yeah, sure. Everybody all right?
Yeah,
Sure.
good. It's crazy. It's so cold.
It's so cold. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's getting better.
I can't believe that. It's not enough for me anymore. The cold never bothered me. Now I'm like,
But you know, it's only like this these days. A couple days a year, you know.
Yeah.
It's like 40s and sunny, 30s even.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, like what it was before. It was great. You know, it's like it's mild. Yeah.
Now it feels like there's a couple times a winter. There's like an Arctic chill for like a few days.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't snow the way it used to. There's no doubt about that.
Actually, I'm going upstate, Chanukah.
Oh yeah, to your house.
The kids let me with 3 families. The kids want to see snow.
Yeah, that's
fun.
fun.
A couple of sleds. I'll go up Thursday night.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Dove this morning. He was thinking about going up to camp. He was like, it's still -1.
No, there's negative. Yeah. Look, there's negative. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's painful. Yeah.
Check out, I don't know if you heard the story, we dropped off like a bunch of wagons before the summer.
I remember that, yeah. I remember you guys talking about it.
The kids always want to know how they do it. And like, whenever we do go up there, whatever, with their circus, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I texted the guy who lives there around, the groundskeeper, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, Juan, So I'm like, Juan, so they always say, nothing doing. All of a sudden I texted him like 3 weeks ago. He's like, oh, a lot of bunnies.
Really?
Yeah, he said there's a few of them gave birth at the same time. There's like 30 new ones.
Oh my God.
They're also like crazy. So that's all the kids are like dying to. So.
Oh yeah. So there you go.
So what I'm saying, we'll wish I was Sunday morning out there driving, and then we could see.
How far is it from you?
It's like half hour.
That's not bad.
It's like half an hour, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. All right, beautiful. Yeah. Man. Oh yeah. That's funny. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
We had a garden on the side of my house for the months we were growing up. And it was such a thing with the rabbits, keep the rabbits out.
Right,
they destroy everything.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. I'm done. What do you say? Here's the coat. I don't want to get cold. I don't know. No reason.
It's chilly.
Yeah.
A little chilly.
Yeah.
Well, there are 2 people who order online, so we're good.
We're entertaining them with stories while.
What?
We're entertaining them with stories.
Yeah, we're talking about.
They can hear you.
Yeah, everyone is very sensitive.
You can't. Once you start, you start.
No. Well, then you have to start a new recording.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the interrupts. You need the second recording.
Yeah, can edit it.
Yeah, we can edit.
Yeah.
We do. We edit it, and those 2 people left. So I don't know what happened to them.
These messages have been brought to you by Jay Gelman.
Yeah, something like that.
The first year there were 114 people.
114K?
114. That's like all of
That's
the community. 114
right. That's our whole community. Exactly.
Shows you don't know. You got 114. That's just.
They could have been showing it each viewing with 500 people watching it. 114.
Well, you also don't know because
It's very likely.
Yeah.
It could be there was actually 114 showings at Madison Square Garden. Forget about it.
Well, you know what happens is that after we post it, then because we have the channel now, we can see that and a lot of people listen after. It's very good. It really is. So, no shame.
Hashem Shalom. Okay.
He's not. No, me and my father, my father. Maybe. You know your problem. Yeah.
Okay. Should we start?
Yeah.
Learning should be a schos for Shalema, Yosef, and Riva Chasha, for Bas Rezel, and anybody else. Learning should be Toch Sharchol Yisrael. No need to for Shalema Shabbat. It's schos for all of us. It should be a lichtige Chanukah. Chanukah, Malay Kedusha. Hopefully in Yerushalayim. That's Hashem for all of us. The famous Gemara Chazal say, before we get started in the Gemara inside, Chazal say, Yagati u'matzasi, Tamid. Lo Yagati u'matzasi, or Matzasi, and I wasn't Yagea, Al Tamid. You only believe a person who says, Yagati, I toiled, u'matzasi, and I found. Beis Halevi asks, he says, Yagia, working towards something, doesn't seem to match Matzasi, which is a Metzia. What's a Metzia? You find something, you find Stam Metzia in the street. You're walking down the street and you find a gem, a dollar bill. Most people aren't looking for that. It's not something which you work at. It happens. Yagati is something which you work at, which is normally work and then something in return. You work at a job, you get a paycheck. You work towards a project, and there's an outcome of the project. Yagati, I toiled, umatzasi, and I found a mitzia. Doesn't seem to match. You hear the kasha? Doesn't seem to match. So Beis Halevi says it's exactly that. It's because when a Yid is Yageh, the Gemara is referring to Torah. So start with that. In reference to Torah. So a person is Yageh, a person works to try to understand the Sugya. A person tries to grow in Avodas Hashem. A person tries to conquer a certain midah. The Yageh, they work. And then Matzasi, and then they succeed. The success, the outcome, is not necessarily a direct result of the Yagiyah. You can have a person who works all of his life, and maybe he doesn't succeed at the outcome per se, but he's 100% success, because he was Yageh. Anu amelim, v'heim amelim. Anu amelim, u'mekablim sachar, v'heim amelim, einu mekablim sachar. We work, we get reward, they work, they don't get reward. The world gets reward. And we know the pshat is that the world gets reward for a finished product. But we work, and for the work itself, we get reward. You have two people trying to learn the same amud, and they each spend an hour on it. One understands it, one doesn't. They reach Yagea. In terms of Avodas Hashem, it's pure success. The story with the boy who was working on Inyanei Kedusha, and Rabbi Gamliel was crying to Rabbi Gamliel Rabbanovich because he couldn't. He just couldn't be Omid ben Isayim. And he says to him, he took his hand, he says, you worked with your hand. You worked hard with his hand to be Malay Kedusha? He says, for even 5 minutes, did you try? He says, yeah. He said, Gamaliel started kissing his hand. He says, you know what that's worth? A Yagiyah, working and trying for 5 minutes, that's Avodas Hashem. That's success. So Yagati, a person toils, the outcome is Mamash Mitziyah. It's something which just pops out of nowhere. Because the Yagati already was a success. The Matzashi is a second success. It's even more. It's the Ratzin. It's the Ratzin when it comes to Avodas Hashem. The Basi Bas Paro, she sticks out her hand, and we know the hand stretched, and eventually she got Moshe Rabbeinu. The Mepharshim say, why did she even stretch out her hand? Well, she thought it was going to stretch. She thought it was going to stretch out 20 amas. Klal Yisrael, let's bring it back to Chanukah. Klal Yisrael is looking in the previous Gemara that we did, which is at the bottom of the Amud. Badku v'lo matzu l'pach echad. We know that the timu kol hashmanim. The Gemara says earlier, the Yevanim came to Echad and they were metama all the shmanim. What were they even looking for? What were they looking for? Badku, they searched. V'lo matzu, they couldn't find. Elo pach echad shel shemen. Furthermore, according to some of Farshim, the way the nace worked, why was it, like we learned, why was it a nace the first night? Beis Yosef's question we dealt with last week. And one of the truths is because when they poured it out, the jug, the first night they filled up the home menorah, the jug was still full. So it was already nace the first day. The some of Farshim learned that when they poured out the jug emptied out. And the menorah was filled up, but later on the jug refilled. Some Farshim don't want to learn that way because they said then they would have never looked for that jug. What would they would have thought? There would have been an ace. Why would they go back to get the jug wherever they tossed it out? But they did go to get it back. It's the bedika itself, the fact that they were even looking. We learned that another reason why they celebrate an eighth day, we learned because we were just saved from the Yevanim. Yidden, the decrees, shmad, killing, hereg rav, megillas antiochas, as many Yidden died. And what did they do? They went into the Azar. That's what they would barku. First thing Klal Yisrael did is they started looking for a pach shemen. That's what you're looking for. Not for a loaf of bread and some food. Gather your family, see who. First thing they did was they went into the Azara to look for badku, to look for a pach shemen. The bedika itself, the looking itself, the avoda, the trying itself, that itself is a nace, that itself is what to celebrate. Beis Halevi also says, he says, the Gemara in Eruvin says that a person who's sick, the Gemara goes through different things what a person can do if he's sick. The Gemara says, chash b'chol gufo, if a person's entire body is not well, yasik b'torah shlein Torah. The Gemara brings down a pasuk, if a person learns Torah, he'll be healed. So, correct the Beis Halevi, you learn Torah, you're healed, and you get back your koach. The famous Gemara, the Gemara darshans from the lesson of Soshia, that Torah is mateshes kocha shaladim. The Torah weakens the koach of a person. Famous Chazal, Torah mateshes kocha shaladim. Torah weakens the koach of a person. How does that work with the Gemara that says that a person who's sick, chash b'chol gufo, his whole body's sick, yasik b'torah, learn Torah and you'll be healed. Says the Beis Halevi, what does the Gemara mean, chash b'rosh? What does the Gemara mean that Torah is mateshes kocha shaladim? Torah mateshes kocha shaladim means like this, kocha shaladim. Person thinks that they're in control. It's my koach. The outcome's up to me. I determine my success. Says the Elige Beis Halevi, Torah mateshes koach shaladim. The Torah teaches a person to do away with that. It's mateshes. That's not the true koach. It's not you. It's the Eibishter. Torah mateshes koach shaladim means you have unbelievable koach, but it's not koach shel adam. It's koach shel Kadosh Baruch Hu. And taka chash b'chol gufo, a person who's sick, yasik b'torah, learn Torah. It's going to give you all the koach in the world. What it's going to take away is that thought, that way of thinking, like the Yevanim thought. The Yevanim thought it's me. The Yevanim are the closest ones. The morale says the closest ones from all of the nations to Klal Yisrael. They were the perfect man. They thought it was us. Torah mateshes kocha shel adam. That's what the Torah weekend. The Torah says it's not about I. It's about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's why Dafka the Yantiv of Chanukah is the Yantiv of Torah. Torah Shabbat Peh, the Amelis Bat Torah, because it shows that it's not about I. It's about the Vari Olam, which is Mamish Keneged the Yavanim. It's Mateshes. What is Mateshes? The Kocha of Kochi Votzim Yadi, but it is Merape. It is heals the entire Gufa Shel Adam. We'll come back to this point. I want to open with this point because I want to come back to this point in the middle as we go through a little bit of Lamdus now, learning some Rishonim and Achrayim. We'll come back to this Nakuda of the difference between Klal Yisrael and the Yevanim, Torah Mateshes Kocha Shel Adam. So let's go to the middle of page 1 with the arrow in the Gemara there. Taner Rabbanan Mitzvahs Chanukah. Famous Gemara. Let's learn it inside. Let's see a Taz inside. And what greater Hachan is there for Chanukah, the Yantiv of Torah, than Ayidei Limud Torah. Taner Rabbanan learned in a Brisa. Mitzvahs Chanukah. The mitzvah of Chanukah is Ner Ish Uveisa. One candle for the entire household. One person lights that includes everybody in the household. Every single night of Chanukah, that one person lights one candle for everybody. You have fulfilled the mitzvah of Chanukah in its entirety. 100% kiyum of the mitzvah, one candle. You don't even need a menorah, a little tea light, you fulfill the mitzvah. V'hamahadrin, people who want to do hidur mitzvah, ner l'chol echad ve'echad, a candle per person. Simple pshat. Let's take a look in Rashi. What does it mean, ner l'chol echad ve'echad? It's Rashi Divramasul v'mahadrin, underlined on the left side. It says Rashi v'mahadrin achar mitzvos, people who want to be mahadir mitzvos. Come back to that lashon in a moment. Osin ner echad b'chol laila. They light one candle a night. L'chol echad ve'echad mibnei habayis, for each and every person of the household. So the second level is everyone in the house lights one candle a night. Ner l'chol echad ve'echad. So the first night of Chanukah, if there's 8 people at home, there's 8 lights. And the 8th night of Chanukah, if there's 8 people in the house, there's 8 nights. Back to the Gemara. V'mahadrin min ha-mahadrin. A person wants to do double hider. Person wants to be mahadrin min ha-mahadrin. Beishami omrim yorishon madlik shmona. Beishami says the first night you light 8. Bikan ve'elech poches v'holech, and then you work your way down. Beisilo omrim yorishon madlik achas. The first night you light 1. Kan ve'elech mosif v'holech, and then you move your way, and then you move up. So Beishami holds 8, 7, 6, and according to Beisilo 1 through 3. Let's quickly go through a little more, and then we'll go to Rashi tells us. Amr Ula, what are the reasons for these shitas? Beishami and Beisilo. Kligi Batreya Moraib Marava. Is Machlokes Tom Moraib Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yossi Bar Rav and Rabbi Yossi Bar Zvida. Chanavar one says time of the Beishami. The reason why Beishami starts with 8 is because Keneged Yom Hanachnas, and we want a light of what's yet to come. There's still 8 days of Chanukah left. Even the first day is partially not here yet. Tamid Beisilo is Keneged Yom Hayotz, and corresponding to the days that have already passed, the days that already have been behind us. When you light day 1, already part of day 1 is gone. Chanavar, the other one explains Tamid Beis Shammai Keneged Par Achad, corresponding to the cows and sukkahs, start with 13, then we bring 12, then 11, then 10. They go down. But Tamid Beis Hillel is Malim B'Kodesh Marid, and we go up in Kedusha. And the famous Marsha, the Marsha asks, what's the connection Par Achad, Chanukah? What do the cows have to do? And also, who argues on the klal of Malim B'Kodesh Marid, and everyone agrees to that klal. He says, Avad and Avad the Machlokes Beisham Beis Hillel is, do we like Keneged Yom HaYotzin or Keneged Yom HaNechnasin? Beishami focuses on what's yet to come, and Beis Hillel focuses on what's already passed. But Beis Hillel has to address the point of, Beis Shammai has to address the point that if he's going down, it goes Keneged the klal of Malim B'Kodesh. So he says, yeah, but I'll bring you proof from Sukkot that when there's a reason to go Keneged Malim B'Kodesh, you could. The Par Achad, which aren't necessarily connected to Chanukah, many pshatim they are. But what's the reason we go down? There's Keneged the Umas Ha'olam, just like the Pari Hachag, which equals 70. Corresponding to the Umas Ha'olam, they're going to dwindle, and the enemies will be gone. So you see that when there's a reason to go down, you can go down. And it doesn't go Keneged the rule of Malam B'Kodesh Maridin. So to by Chanukah, since Beis Shammai wants to light Keneged Yamim Hayotzin, Keneged Yamim Hanechnasin, so you have a reason to go down, so you could go down. Beis Hillel says no. Beis Hillel likes the idea of Keneged Yamim Hayotzin, corresponding to what's already passed, and therefore he sticks with the call of Malam B'Kodesh Maridin. There's no reason to be going down. There's no reason to go down. You stick with the age-old rule of Malam B'Kodesh Maridin. They're not arguing that cloud. They're arguing if there's a reason here to say differently. Okay, so according to Rashi doesn't make any mention really of Mahadrin, Min HaMahadrin. Rashi just makes mention of what Mahadrin is. Everyone in the household lights one candle. So the famous Tosfos. Tosfos on the right side, the underlying Tosfos, Mahadrin, Min HaMahadrin. So what is the best way the Gemara says? Nearer the read appears to the read. The Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, who are discussing Mahadrin Min HaMahadrin, Lo Kaimi Ela Aner Ishu Beis are going back to step 1. Normally, if there's one level, then level 2, then level 3. Typically speaking, level 3 is one level above level 2. So you would think Mahadrin Min HaMahadrin should be built off level 2. Everyone's already lighting because of level 2. Not just one per household, but everyone's lighting one candle. Comes along Mahadrin Min HaMahadrin and says, no, everyone in the house should do 1 through 8. Says Tosfos, no. They're going back to level 1, where it's only one person doing it. Says Mahadrin Min HaMahadrin, that one person lighting should do 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Why? Sheken yesh yoser hidur, says Tosfos. There's more of a hidur in a case when only one person lights 1 through 8, as the Simais do, versus when everybody does 1 through 8, like what Jake Yalman does. Why? Because there's more of a hecker. When you add, like Beis Hillel, If there's one person doing it, it's very clear we're adding another candle every single night. But if everyone in the house is doing 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, even if every day everyone goes from 1, then to 2, and then to 3, it's not so clear. It's not so recognizable that which you're adding is because it's the next night of Chanukah. Sheyisru, anyone watching will think that that's how many people you have in the house. Meaning the third night of Chanukah, so everybody's lighting 3. Let's say you have 10 people in the house, and everybody's lighting 3, so it's 30 candles. Nobody's going to know that that's because yesterday you did 20, and now it's 30. They'll think maybe you have 30 people in the house, and you're doing Ner Yishu, you're doing a Ner L'Chalech and Vech, and you're doing Mahadrin, where you light 1 per person. It's not going to be obvious, it's not going to be clear to everybody that you're doing 1 through 8, Keneged Yamim Ha-Nechnasim, correspond Keneged Yamim Ha-Yotzim. Therefore, it's also only 1 person should light. If 1 person lights, it's very clear. Yesterday was 1, the next day is 2, the next day is 3. It's just very organized that way. The obvious question on Tosfos, is, because according to Tosfos, so what's he saying? Have 1 person do it, otherwise, if you have everybody doing 1 through 8, then the third night with 10 people, it's 30 candles. And you're not going to know. Even according to Tosfos, you have that issue. What does Tosfos hold? What's Mahadrin? He agrees to Mahadrin that everybody's lighting 1. He only argues to Mahadrin, Mina Mahadrin. So now you have on the third night, you have 1 person lighting. Why is it Tosfos? Because if everybody's going to light 3, and there's 10 people, that's 30 candles. But maybe there's 30 people in the house, and even like Tosfos, maybe they're doing which level? Mahadrin. So that's a question the Mefarshim asked, the Beis Halevi asked, but he gives a teretz. He says because, we'll come back to his teretz in a moment. How would you translate the word Mahadrin? If someone said it last week, what does it mean, Hidder?
Beautiful.
To beautify mitzvahs. What does Rashi say? Rashi says Mahadrin. If you look at Rashi and Mahadrin, Achar HaMitzvahs. You beautify behind the mitzvah, after the mitzvah. So clearly Rashi is not going with Lashon HaKodesh, Rashi is going with Aramaic. And Mahadrin means not to beautify, but to run after, to pursue. Mahadrin Achar HaMitzvahs. Rashi on the Rif, is this same Gemara, Rashi's Mahadrin, Es HaMitzvah. There Rashi is learning like Jay, that it means to beautify. You beautify Es HaMitzvah, the mitzvah. For some reason here, Rashi holds Mahadrin Achar HaMitzvah. To run after the mitzvah. Does anyone have a pshat? Why is Rashi writing that here? But it could be, because, and it addresses Tosfos also, for the skip from level 1 to level 2, what was level 1 of the Gemara? 1 person lights on behalf of everybody. And it means everybody's watching. Everyone's watching when 1 person does the mitzvah. What's the mile of Mahadrin? That everyone gets to do it themselves. It's not just you're beautifying the mitzvah, but it's I want to do a mitzvah also. I'm being Mahader Achar HaMitzvah. I'm running after a mitzvah. I want to light also. It says Rashi Mahadin Achar HaMitzvahs. I want to do a mitzvah also. That could also be a little bit of an insight into Rashi's Mahalach versus Tosfos, which writes, how many people are doing Mahadrin and Mahadrin? Is only 1. It says Rashi, no. If you want to be Mahadrin, you're Mahader Achar HaMitzvah. You want the mitzvah. The Rashi will learn, like we're about to see, potentially in the Rambam, that it's not just, in the way Minhag Ashkenaz is, it's not just 1 person doing it on behalf of everybody, but it's everybody. It could be that's why Rashi, B'dafke here, even different than what he writes by the Rif, Rashi would allusion of to go after the mitzvah, because the change is from 1 person doing it on behalf of everybody, to me, myself, I want to be involved in the mitzvah. Okay, let's take a look in the Rambam. So Tosfos Shita is Mahadrin is 1 person doing it. Let's start at Parak Daled. Kamen Eres Umadlik V'Chanukah Halacha Aleph. Shia Kol Bayis Abadis. Each and every house Madlik Ner Echad should have 1 candle lit. Bein Shayu Anshe Bayis Merubin. Whether there's a lot of people in the house. Bein Shlo Hayu Bo Adam Echad. Whether there's only 1 person. Either way, we light 1 candle. 1 candle covers everybody. V'Mahader is a mitzvah. Person wants to beautify a mitzvah. Madlik Neiros Kamin Anshe Habayis. So he lights how many candles? Corresponding to the amount of people in the home. ner lechol echad ve'echad, bein nashim, for the men, for the women. Tally, take everybody in the house, whatever the number is, and he lights corresponding to them. From a hader yasalzeh, if you want to do a double hider, then he lights a candle per person. Belay the Rishon on night number 1. Most if a holech on light number 2 he adds the ner echad. So Kate said, how does it work? Harishayu anshe habayis asar. If the people of the household were 10, belay the Rishon madlik asara to do mahadrim and a mahadrim. The night number 1 you would light 10 candles. Ubelel sheni eser. The second night would be 20, and ubelel shlishi shloshim hashenimtzem madlik belel shmini shmonim neiros. Till the 8th night you'd be lighting 80 candles. Halacha Gimel, minig pasha b'chol areinu b'sfarad. It's the minig that has been spread throughout all of our cities in Sfarad. Shu kol anshe habayis madlikin ner echad b'layla rishon. This is the minig of Sfarad, right? Shu kol anshe habayis, that all the people of the household madlikin ner echad b'layla rishon, light 1 candle the first night. Umosifin v'hochen ner b'chol layla v'layla, and they add on a candle every single night. Everybody doing it, everybody adding on a candle. So you have lit on the 8th day, Shmonen Neiros, Ben Shiu Anshe Abayis Meruba Ben Shehaya Adam Echad. That means whether you have 1 person in the household or many people in the household, every single person, says the Rambam, should be lighting 1 the first night, 2 the second night, and 8 the 8th night. Is that like Tosos? It's the opposite from Tosos. The Rambam is saying that every person in the house should be lighting their own menorah. Everybody should be Mosif v'holech. So Tosos is saying the Shita of whom? What we see nowadays of that which who does? The Sfardim. The Rambam is saying who's Shita? The Ashkenazi. Tosos was Ashkenazi. The Rambam was still is Sfardim. Let's take a look in the Taz. So let's not do the whole Taz. Then the next page on the left side is the Taz. So the Mechaber, actually let's say no, let's before that, let's go to the Mechaber. So I cut the Mechaber, but it's enough is there in the middle of the page. So where the Beis Yosef and the Ramar, right in the middle over here. So it starts in middle. Should have been a few more words from the previous page, but okay. So it says the Mechaber Laila, the first night, you light 1. Achabalel Achan you Shmona. Night 8, there'll be 8 candles in the house. Afilu imrabim bnei habayis lo yadliku Yosef. Paskim to Beis Yosef, even if you have 20 people in your house, how many are lit the 8th night? 1 menorah, 8 lights, that's it. 1 person doing it on behalf of everybody. So Paskins, the Beis Yosef, the Bet Yosef. Minig Sfardi. Says the Ramah, V'yei Shomrim Minig Ashkenaz, the Chol Echam Bnei Habayis, every single person, Yadlik should be lighting 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Says the Ramah, what's Minig Ashkenaz? The Shittas Rambam. What do they bring down in the parentheses there? Where is that from? The Rambam. Chena Minig Pashat, V'chul, and then he goes on to another halacha. So it's a Pella. Take a look in the Taz. We won't do the whole Taz. Just look where it's underlined. Uvakan yesh chiddush. You see there in the middle of the Taz. Writes the Taz Uvakan yesh chiddush. Unbelievable chiddush here. He writes. B'minik shehasfardim, which is the Beis Yosef, noagin kitosvos. Kol shekasa Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef, minik Sfardi, is going in the mahalach of Tosvos, where you only have 1 menorah per household, 1 person lighting for everybody. Ashkenazim kiram. Ashkenazim are going like the Rambam. V'zelo matzino b'shar makomos. You don't find such a thing in other places. So is Ma'orah the Taz. He's not asking a kash and giving a teretz. He's being Ma'orah that it's a shinoi from the normal way. Now there are other mahalachim how to learn pshat in the Rambam. Beis Halevi has a mahalach, and the Aruch HaShulchan. There are plenty of other mahalachim that it may not even be a machlokes Rashi and the Rambam and Tosas. They're not arguing. But let's stick for the Taz for now, and we'll get to the Aruch HaShulchan next. We'll see, maybe we'll get to the Beis Halevi. We should be there by 11 o'clock tonight. Yaakov said he has all night. So, yeah.
What's the concept of somebody lighting for each member of the household? In other words, for each member to light themselves, there's a nice mitzvah. But
very good.
Persume Nisa.
Good. So Aruch HaShulchan is going to be. It's a good Rabbi Akiva is asking, where do you have such a why is Ner according to the first mahalach of the first level of Ner Yishuv Beisa? One person is lighting on behalf of everybody. Why not everybody lighting? Or according to Tosos, how the third way is that one person lighting on behalf of everybody. Where is that Inyan from? So Aruch HaShulchan it will be. That's going to be part of his mahalach. We'll see in the Aruch HaShulchan. Anybody have a teretz you want to say to the Taz? Stam, why I think by this mitzvah in particular, or if you have a mahalach, I'll share with you machshava before we see the before we see the Aruch HaShulchan. Over here in particular, over Kan Yesh Chiddush that the Ashkenazim are doing the Minig Sfardi, and the Sfardim are doing Minig Ashkenaz. It could be a beautiful idea like this, and it connects to what we started with. There's something beautiful about everybody having their own Minig Yisrael Torah. It's part of Klal Yisrael. It's part of what keeps Klal Yisrael connected to the Masorah, and the Tachlis are connected to the Masorah is connected to it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving us the Torah on Sinai, which is ultimately leading for all of us to do the Ratzon Hashem. Minig Yisrael Torah. We find Chumras sometimes by the Rabbanans that we don't even have by Doraisas. That's the whole Masorah said Torah, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael. How many mitzvahs that we do are actually in the Torah, spelled out the way we do them? Totafos. You look at that word and say, yeah, Tat Bekavsi and Pas Ba'afriki. Who would think that to make Arba Parshas and Tefillin because the word Totafos? I'd sooner eat a piece of potato than put on Tefillin to think it matches that mitzvah. There's no connection. The whole Torah was given to us Dafka Al Yidei Mesaras HaTorah through our Chacham, through Emunas Chacham, Lo Sasam and Adavar Asher Yagidu Lecha Yuminu Smol. And that's the beauty of Minhag. Yet at the same time, it could sometimes lead to the idea of my Minhag versus your Minhag. What I do. No, we don't eat rice. No. The rice on Pesach, it's chametz. To the point that I feel like I have a certain halacha. It's my minhag. The whole idea of Chachmas Yavin versus Chachmas HaTorah, like we started with, is that Yavin wanted to make it that it's about me. It's about Chachmas HaAdam. Torah teaches us, Torah Mateshes Kocha Shel Adam, that it's not about me. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lahavir michuke ritzonecha. They wanted to take away the concept of a chok. A chok is so clear to you and I that it's not us. It makes no sense. There's no logic to it. There's only one reason a person would keep a chok. Paraduma, why are you keeping it? It's because kachti vani habori, because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said. There's no logic to it. Yavin, it was all about me, my logic, what makes sense. But by Yid, we know we're mavata ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Dafka and Chanukah, when we want to tap into that nekuda, where we're being mavatal ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'ritzona, and we lahavir mechuker ritzonach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you command and we do. So even our minhag, we want to say it's not our minhag. I'll take your minhag, you take my minhag. I don't own the minhag. I don't own the Torah. It's not my Torah. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah. It can sign dafke here, of all places. We have this Inyan of we'll take your minhag and you'll take our minhag to show that it's him. We're just trying to do HaKadosh Baruch Hu's way. It's not like I own a certain way. There's no us in it. It's him. It's the Bari Island. Could be connecting to the whole Mahalach of Chanukah. That would be maybe a nice idea why we have this Inyan Dafka by Chanukah. That's the B'derech HaMachshava. Now let's see the Aruch HaShulchan, how he explains the mitzvah. Any ha'aras? Anybody? I've been talking for a long time.
Does it have to do with the structures they lived in? Maybe like Bnei Ashkenaz had larger windows, and they started smaller windows or no windows.
So the Aruch HaShulchan in the beginning, we're not going to do that now. He does say, he's even according to Tosas, like what David just said, what was the whole reason why Tosas says not to do multiple menorah, not to have multiple people light it? Because it won't be a heker. He says that makes sense, says Aruch HaShulchan, when you're lighting al Pesach based on mibachutz, like the Gemara says, you're supposed to light by the doorway. How many menorahs can you put by a doorway? Not too many. So then there won't be a heker, so therefore it makes sense, like Tosas says. But Bisman said that anyways we're lighting mibifnim. Says Aruch HaShulchan, Tosas would agree. Tosas would agree that you could have multiple menorahs because there will be a heker. You have your menorah, you might bechlam, now we all light with menorahs and you could tell. But even so you have the plastic table you put out, or however way you light the Ner Chanukah. You put 8 menorahs, everyone can tell very clearly how many people are in the house and why you're lighting, and candles going up. There is room for a heker. So some do learn that way, that Tosas would agree to, and it could be Therefore, the Ramah was going later on, at a time when they were lighting inside anyway. They weren't doing Baal Pesach Beisel. Yes. So says the Achronim.
There seems to be a big difference between who's doing the lighting also under each shlosh.
Yes. In the Rambam.
Between Rambam versus Rashi. Rashi you could also look at the other way, not the way that Tosfos sees Rashi.
That what?
Mahadran is Achar Mitzvos, Osin Erechad B'chol Laila, Loch Alecha V'echad B'nei Abayis, could be like the Rambam. Rashi.
Correct. Rashi and Rambam are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, the Baal Abayis is lighting, right, on behalf of everybody, not each person doing the lighting under Mahadran.
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 Well, Pashup Pshat, the Rambam is like Rashi, and is that everybody's doing it.
The individuals are doing it.
Every individual is doing it. Yeah. Yeah. Beis Halevi does learn. We'll see if Beis Halevi is going to change. He's Medayik in the Rambam. He says the Rambam, if you look into the Lashon of the Rambam, when read according to the Beis Halevi's Mahalach, he never says everybody lights menorah. It's the Baal Habayis lighting on behalf of everybody. So the 8th night, where the Rambam says, if you have 10 people, you have 80 candles, it's the Baal Habayis lighting 80 times.
And then he changes the Minhag Pasha.
So learns the Beis Halevi. Beis Halevi. But the simple Mahalach, which is what the Ramah got it from, is not learning that way. But the Beis Halevi says that's how the Rambam learns. Yeah. Okay, we're going to address your first thing, what you asked before, Akiva. We're going to see now in the Aruch HaShulchan. Some people want to go so far against the Ramah that if you have multiple people lighting, so everybody lighting in the house and they're each going to make a bracha. Look at Os Tes Vav in the Aruch HaShulchan. Page Tov Kuf Mem Beis Os Tes Vav. V'dash re'isi lechem and agdolim. I saw, he writes from one of the Gedolim, Shehir Shar Rabbeinu Ramah. He cries and says strong words against the Ramah. Because to have a brachas levatalos. Once the father lights and the mother lights for everybody, and anyone else lights thereafter makes a bracha, it's a bracha levatala. What's his question on the Ramah? Because he's referring to that which the Ramah wrote, like we just read. That everyone in the house lights the menorah. That's where the Ramah ends. And the Ramah got it where V'zel Pishidus Rambam. Kamosha Kasafti, like he wrote earlier. They ask on the Ramah V'tosu. That's a mistake. The Rambam The Rambam didn't say that everyone in the house lights. Ela habal habayis yadlik. Second thing he said, Akiva. The bal habayis lights kafim mispar bnei adam sheyesh bebeso. The bal habayis shall light corresponding to how many people are in the house. The Gemara Shama, look, he says in the Gemara also. The Gemara that says Mahadrin is ner l'chol echad ve'echad. That the level of Mahadrin is ner l'chol echad ve'echad. Lower ner kol echad ve'echad, a candle per person. El ner l'chol echad ve'echad, a candle on behalf of each person. Kolomer shbal habayis yadlik ner l'chol echad me'bnei beiso. V'zeh should be a Rambam dem yesh lo asar b'nei adam yadlik b'layla rishon asar neiros u'b'shnei esrim. That which he says in the first night it's 10, then 20. Chenat sofo. Zeh hakol al balabayis. It's referring to the balabayis. Avoshiat luku shnei anashim b'bayis echad have a bracha levatala v'asar lasas came. So they ask. That's what the Rambam meant. We'll stop there from that piece. Let's go to the next piece. So that's what Rabbi Akiva was asking. That's what the Beis Halevi asks. Amnam be'emes divrei Rabbeinu Ramat sokim. Even though the lashon that it says ner l'chol echad could be that the Baal Habayis is lighting one candle per person in the household. So the Baal Habayis is lighting, if there's 8 people, and he's lighting 8 candles to cover all those people, it could be that's the case. Just because the Rambam says that let's say the level of Mahadran, the Baal Habayis is now lighting 1 candle per person. So just because that's what the Rambam says, so that means that each person can't light now. Is that any worse? Just because we have this concept of Baal Habayis could light 1 candle for his son, 1 candle for his daughter, 1 for his wife, and he now lights 8 candles. But if they decide to light, they can't light, why not? If anything, that's better. Ra'ayil Azem, Yisov Perek Zayin in the top now on the left side. Erevin, Le'nei Eruvei Chatzeros. I'll say this outside. You're collecting the food from everybody for the Eruvei Chatzeros and the Shita of Mavuos. Connecting Chatzeros on Shabbos, connecting the Mavoi. This is not connecting the bottom to the Chatzer or the Chatzeros to the Mavoi. The Gemara says, how much does each person have to give? Kigro gros l'chol echad ve'echad. And the Pirusha means that one person is being Zocha on behalf of everybody. So let's say each person wants to give. It's not going to work. Of course it'll work. And he says the same halacha also by Eruvei Tchumen. One person could be Zocha on behalf of everybody who wants to be part of the Eruv. But if everybody wants to give their own food, it's any worse? Of course not. So it says the Aruch HaShulchan, just because the Rambam, even if you're Medayik in the Rambam, that Mahadra means that the Baal Bayis is lighting a candle on behalf of everybody. That if there's 8 people, he lights 8. But Kol Shekain, if everybody wants to light that one candle, why can't they do it? Yud Zayin now goes to the mitzvahs. This was the other Kasha Akiva. What is it any different mitzvahs Ner Chanukah mitzvahs the Ner Chanukah than other mitzvahs? The Chol mitzvahs typically when you have an action in a mitzvah, I'll call Echem Yisrael Asas a mitzvah. Everyone does the mitzvah. You have a mitzvah of lulav. Does someone shake on behalf of his whole household? No. When it comes to Ner Chanukah, it's the Balabayis doing it. Why is that the case? Why do you have this? The first level, everyone agrees, is Ner, Ish, Ubeso. One person lighting on behalf of everybody. Why? But he says like this. You find Esrig, Chayiv Kol Echad B'Yado. Everybody takes the Esrig by themselves, the Dalet Minim. Whereas by a shofar, Echad Tokeya, one person blows the shofar, but Kulam Shom and everyone then listens to the mitzvah. What's the difference? By Esrig, the mitzvah is taking it. So everyone has to take it. Whereas HaShofar, HaMitzvah HaShmir. The mitzvah is to listen. You can't listen without having someone blow it. Therefore one person blows the shofar, everyone hears it. Megillah, hearing Megillah on Purim. Echad Kori, one person reads the Megillah, v'kulam shomer. So Chanukah, what's the mitzvah? So first is the mitzvah is the Re'iyah Liros HaNeiros. Sha'asanisim, to see the Neiros. Kishadelukim when they're lit. Zeh Persuminisa, that's the Persuminisa. So since the mitzvah is to see the Neiros, and you can't see the Neiros if they're not lit, that's why you have such a concept. A person's not lighting that night, and they see someone else's menorah, they make a bracha. Because the mitzvah is the Re'iyah. Kedisa b'Gemara. You can't have Re'iyah without Hadlaka. Therefore, they're Misak and Shabbat Abayis Madlik, that one person lights, everyone else watches. Then he does address him. He says, nevertheless, so Dami Legami, but it's not entirely like other mitzvahs. Why? To shofar Megillah. See, by shofar we understand why one person does it, because they have mitzvah rak hashmiya. There, for sure, the mitzvah is only hearing. Lishmoa kol shofar. So lishmoa, so you only need one person doing it, because everyone is doing shmiya. That one guy is doing tekiah. We don't have to be a tekiah. We have to be a shomea. We're all being a shomea. Now the Megillah, even though the mitzvah is al mikra Megillah, and we're not reading, but there you have an easy out. Why? Shomea kaona. We're hearing. And when you hear something, it's ki iluyu said it. So we are yotzim mikra Megillah ki that we read it. Alvul b'ner Chanukah, when it comes to ner Chanukah, ikra the mitzvah hadlaka. Really, the mitzvah is the hadlaka. What's the bracha? So therefore, if that's the case, come back to our kasha. So how is it that one person's lighting on behalf of everybody? But it's a combination. It's hadlaka and it's re'iyah. And that's why you have this nakuta. You have this interesting thing by Chanukah that even if you're not lighting and you see a menorah, you make a bracha by seeing a menorah. That's why Chazal kept this mitzvah a little different. But not everybody has to light. Since there is a mitzvah in the re'iyah. So therefore, yes, it's not like Mikra Megillah where everyone has to read, and we all are reading because we have Shomea Ka'ona. You don't have Shomea Ka'ona here. So why then could one person do it? Because it's also a mitzvah in the re'iyah. And re'iyah, we are watching it. We see it. So since the mitzvah also has re'iyah, it's enough. Just like we say mitzvahs ner Chanukah, nish ner yishuv so. And therefore that it would work. It would work that way. I'm a hadron shagam bahadlaki lechalech and chelik ner lechalech and vechad. Klomar, the imbiyacholis shekol echad yadlik b'fnei atzmo. Kamo b'chol mitzvah shekol echad yasem mitzvah b'shleimus. If it is with the ability, if it is in with the ability of the home that everyone could light, gesundheit, and it's even better. Everybody should light. Ner ishuv so is you could be yotze that way. But if everybody could light, that would be much better. But the Gemara is teaching us that even if he does light for them, they're also yotze. That would also be mahadrin. You want to do mahadrin mina mahadrin, then we have the machlokus, then you have Rashi, then you have the Avtosis, then you have the Rambam, and then he goes into that. Okay. So the Aruch HaShulchan is saying that number one, he does address the ha'ara, that in the Rambam's lashon, it does sound like you could learn at least in the Rambam that the Rambam was not saying the simple understanding like we learned from the Ramah that everybody's lighting. You could learn the Rambam is referring to the Balabais, and the Balabais is lighting on behalf of everybody, 10, 20, 30, 40. Aleph. Beis, he then says what's unique about Chanukah where you have one person doing an act of a mitzvah on behalf of everybody. Megillah, we understand why, because you only have the mitzvah to hear. Netilas lulav, we don't allow someone else to shake the lulav for you. So why by Chanukah licht, where it's lahadik ner Chanukah, that someone could do it for you? And the answer is because it's also mitzvah in the re'iyah. And since it's a mitzvah in the re'iyah, so therefore that does allow a little leniency that one person can do it on behalf of everybody, because you're still being a roa, you still are seeing. It's like a person who is not lighting and sees would make a bracha.
Lashon of the Gemara is very interesting. Take a look at it. The first time you see the Lashon of Madlek is by Mahadrim and Hamadrim. There's no reference to Hadlaka before that. So it's based on Re'iyah, right? Ikr Mitzvah and Mahadrim. Only when you get to Mahadrim and Hamadrim does it become the Hadlaka. Why? Because that applies to everybody.
So the first level and the second level,
it's based on Re'iyah.
The first level is one person lighting, everyone else is a roa.
Correct.
Second level,
one person's lighting as well, you could say.
That's a chiddush. Okay, but nice chiddush. The only time the Lashon HaDlaka comes up is by the third level. Works out well like the Rambam and the Ramah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice diuk. Okay. Shkar is nice order. You want to take a look at the Beis HaLevi? He's in Al HaTorah by Vayigash. By Miketz Vayigash, but when he gets into the Inyanei Chanukah. Okay, let's end with the Machshava. Page Kufayin Ches. We'll end now. It's quick. So Beis Shammai says the first night you light 8, Yipochis v'holech. We go down. According to Beis Hillel, we go up. What's the idea? What's the machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? How can we apply this to ourselves? And where's the lesson in Avodas Hashem? Near Levar, it's the middle piece. Machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel al pidarki Avodas Hashem Yisbarach. It's teaching us a mahalach, a way, in two different ways of how one serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Beis Shammai is over in Poches v'holech. We start with 8 and we go down. Poches is the beginning. Reish is Chachma. What's the beginning of serving Hashem? Is Yiras Hashem. The Yira is fear. Is staying away from Chet. First, when we want to do the Ratzon Hashem, the first thing you have to do is subdue the bad. Eradicate the evil. Shianaki u'menuka, that one should be clean and cleansed, mehamidus haros, from any bad midah. Well, the var hapsolis, and to remove all residue, to remove all impurities, we first have to clean out the bad. And then, after you're a poches, after you subdue the bad and you remove the bad, then v'holech. Then you start moving on to good. Hainu, then v'asei tov. Kamar David HaMelech says, sor meira, remove first the bad, and then v'asei tov. So first get real down on yourself, about all the averes that you've done, and go and get a good list of all the averes we've done this past week. Cleanse yourself. I'm not going to do them again, and go through all the Inyanei Tshuva, and then start adding all the good. First be a poches, then be a holech. Then you could start growing in Avodas Hashem, then you can connect yourself in a wonderful way of Dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel Sovrin, Mosef v'holech. You know how a person should approach Avodas Hashem? Yes, there's certain areas where we would like to be doing better. But the way for a person to grow, Hainu, Step Aleph, Sheyosef B'Kedusha. Just add good. Focus on where can I do more positive. V'yasan, you should first begin B'Tchila Hatov. Where can I do good? Where can I give $1 to tzedakah? Where can I add another Ma'aseh Chesed? Where can I add another Daf Gemara? Kasher Yir Ragil B'Hatov. If he gets himself into the mode of doing Tov, Yascho then L'Sakin Asmo, he could then start working on the Chatayim and the Avonos Sha'asa, and he'll see that at that point already, once he's added good, he finds less room for the bad, and the good naturally pushes away the bad. Why does Beis Hillel hold that way? Because if a person does the opposite way, and he just focuses on the negative, on his mistakes, on his yeridas, on where he's done no good, then he's only Isaac in that. As I Beini Ubeini Yakam Ha'ayev or Tzachal Nefesh, you know what's going to happen in the middle? The Ayev, the Yetzer Hara, is going to happen. You're going to be down on yourself, and you're going to be Isaac in the areas where I don't want to be Isaac in, and I'll pull the person further. The Yitzvah b'mitzulis ha'shakar lo zaydim, and he'll sink into the depths that those kaiches hara want him to drown in. V'ha'etze the eitzin avodas Hashem zok Beis Hillel l'bal lachshav case. Right now, it's not the time to think cheshbonos of all of the areas where I would have been happier had I not done those things. Right now, yechazik b'avodas Hashem. It's time for chakras now. Something happened before. Okay, right now get a good chakras. Right now you're going to Charusa. Right now you have an opportunity to spend time with the family. Just focus on that. Do something good. Regardless of what was a half hour ago, what was the week ago, what was 10 years have passed. In doing so, l'natseach sono, that overcomes, that makes one victorious over the sono, over his Yetzer Hara. Homed lachtos al rosho gachleish. He who the Yetzer Hara wants to pour on our head the coals of burning fire, may his slavus ha-mitzvahs, and take us away from the slavus ha-mitzvahs. If a person does that, then he's sakan asher ibus. He can fix up the other stuff. Zui plukta Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. That's the machlokas Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel holds mosif a holech be mosef, and naturally he'll be a holech. It'll just propel him further, and he'll be able to continue with avodas Hashem. That also explains another famous machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel have. The Gemara has a shayla Masechtas Shabbos. When a person lights the menorah, what's the main mitzvah? Is the hadlak of the mitzvah, the lighting, or the hanacha, placing the menorah? The Gemara comes out, lamaskana, what's the main mitzvah? Hadlaka. So the Gemara, what's the bracha we make? Lahadlik ner Chanukah. You see the mitzvah is in the hadlaka. Nafkamina, if you want to light it, then move it. No, you have to light it where it's going to be. What's the machlokas? Hanacha, placing it in mitzvah, or hadlaka? It's like they're beautiful. What is hanacha? You know what hanacha means? It means to subdue. That's Beis Shammai. First, you got to focus on the bad. Subdue everything within yourself that's causing you to do bad. Bring yourself down. Look down at yourself. How dare you? You're a horrible person. How could you be doing that? Isn't that beautiful? So that's what you should do. With other mahalach hasram napuk or hadlakos mitzvah. No, sheyadlik. The first thing a yid should do is yadlik. Light a candle. Light a fire. B'toch cheshchuso. In all that darkness, hanas me'avonos. In all that darkness that happened from all the things that we're not so proud of, you know what you should do? Yadlik, light a candle. Do a mitzvah. Do something good for Yislai, Basiyas mitzvahs. Have a hislavus. Hislavus eish is a fire. In the act of a mitzvah, begeder, and then we know the age-old rule, what will happen? Ma'am bin ha'ar, doch ha'ar bin ha'choshech. So what happens? He's in a very bad place, in a place he doesn't want to be. Open up a safe. Give someone a phone call, make them feel good. Give $1 to tzedakah. Have a good ma'ariv. In the choshech. But that's already a candle being lit in dark. The candle being lit in dark. The hilchah, we paskin. Hadlaka osa mitzvah. We paskin, it's not hanacha. Don't focus on subduing Yetzer Hara. Be madlik. Light another candle. Bring good into our life. And we also paskin hilchah Beis Hillel. Mosif aholech. What's the way in avodas Hashem? Mosif. Focus on another good act. On doing something good. V'holech. Focus on that. Sheyaschom mikodem lasas mitzvah Hashem. And that's the way for a person like Beis Hillel, at least Bisman Hazeh, for a person to add kedusha, which will that itself make a shinoy in the mensch. Every mitzvah that a person does adds more kedusha to the mensch, like the svarim, and don't be focused on the bad. Turns out after you do one mitzvah and another mitzvah or mitzvah, there's a shinoy in the mensch that it's a different person. Ad kedei kach, he has kochos he didn't have beforehand. He's a different person to fight the Yetzer Hara. Person's only been Nisayan, and it's Nisayan that he keeps on falling and he keeps on falling in. So Aleph, that's also a level, that a person's being a lochem, that a person's fighting. No one in the world is fighting that fight, and he's fighting it. That's already success. The fact that we consider ourselves a lochem, ashreinu matayv chalkeinu. The world is running after Ra. Where can I get more Ra? And what is a Yid? A Yid is a lochem. That in itself, we are already menatzech. We're already victorious. But more than that. So what does a person do? He's mostly for he adds more kedusha. What does it happen with more kedusha? We're a different person. And we have kochos we didn't have before him. So why should we focus on the Rab when we're at that stage, be a Mosif, and then we're a different Gavra, and entirely, then it's something that we're able to do it. Shall be Zocha, the Chanukah that's Mali Kedusha, Chanukah that's enjoyable, pleasant, Mali Masikas, it should be sweet. We should be Zocha to continue adding Kedusha in our life, continue to remember that it's our Minhagim, it's Klal Yisrael Tzaman, it's Klal Yisrael together, in the schus of that Achdus, of the minig of the Sfardim and Ashkenazim coming together. It should be the ultimate Achdus of Klal Yisrael coming together, which will bring Bezos Hashem the Gula Shleim of Meher B'Yameinu.
Oh,